AX AOS server, database server, and client components of Microsoft Dynamics AX. Just to recap that previously what we have done, right here I have written down, we have completed the prerequisite for almost all the components that needs to be installed in Microsoft Dynamics AX. I have completed the tips and tricks. And when I say tips and tricks, what I did was separated the Windows components that needed to be installed as part of prereq of Dynamics AX, and then I went ahead and installed each external components. When I say external software or components, that is SQL Server, SharePoint, MS Office, and other little components that needs to be installed in Microsoft Dynamics AX. So this is part of our Microsoft Dynamics installation and configuration suite. So we're gonna go ahead and install Microsoft Dynamics AOS server with the database and the client. So let's get to it. Here's my installation of Microsoft Dynamics AX installation media. So what we're gonna go ahead and first we're gonna click on validate system requirements. This is mandatory and you should always make a habit of it. So the components that we need to select in this, we can go ahead and select all the components, but this will be a lot of configuration in one video. What I'm going to do is install specific components one by one and put it in different videos. So right now our agenda is to install database. I do have SQL Server installed as a prerequisite if you watch my previous videos, but when I click on databases, what it does is that it asks you if there is no SQL Server installed, then it'll ask you to install SQL Server first, and then it's going to create a couple databases as a part of installation. So if you click on databases, then it'll let you install the databases if you haven't created the databases already. But if you wanted to go ahead and connect to an existing database as a part of installation, you do not need to select this component. You can go ahead and connect to an existing Microsoft Dynamics AX database. But since we haven't created any database, really all we did was install SQL Server, so we're going to go ahead and do the configuration of databases as well. So the second thing we want to do is application objects server, AOS server, and we're not going to go ahead in this video and complete the enterprise portal. It'll be a different video, but I'll be covering all installation of all these components one by one. So if you follow my suite, you will see that that suite has all the components. So just please stay tuned and follow my videos. So we're gonna go ahead and install AOS database and client components. So we're gonna go ahead and not really install the remote desktop services integration, because we're gonna go ahead and install all those components on one server. So go ahead and validate that. So everything up here is passed. There's one warning. If you would like to if you haven't done the prerequisite and haven't followed my first video, you can always do whatever the component that you need up here. That if you get an error, you can click on link and download and install and run the revalidation again and see that if it's installed. But right now, let's see what it says. Microsoft Analysis Management Object. It is MAMO. So let's go ahead and see that what's this complaining about. Is saying that AMO is a .NET Framework object model that enables software developers to create client-side application. That's okay. So Microsoft Analysis, everything is installed. It may need to be configured, but we can configure it later, or we can configure it now. But we're gonna go ahead and click finish, and we're gonna go ahead and click on Microsoft Dynamics AX components. Now this is real installation after you install the prerequisites of the components that you wanted to install. So go ahead and click next. accept the license, click next. I don't want to join the customer experience improvement program, so if you do, click on join, but if you don't, then go ahead and click I don't want to join. Click next. This is the directory where Microsoft AOS server binary files are going to be located, so that's okay. If you wanted to locate it somewhere else, then you have an option to click on browse and change your file location. So click next. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and click on install. This installation is going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. As soon as the installation is completed, I'll be back. If there are any errors, or any warnings or anything like that that I would feel like y'all need to know, then I'll go ahead and explain it to you, and also the resolution. But I'm hoping that it'll go ahead and complete on its own. Anyhow, so we're to next screen, custom installation and single computer installation. Just to quickly briefly tell you what custom installation is. Custom installation is that if you, this is not one computer. Let me explain first the single computer installation. Single computer installation is that you want to install everything: AOS application server, Microsoft SQL Server, and a retail integration services, reporting services, analysis services, all on one computer. That's single computer installation. However, the custom installation is that if you have you're installing application server on this computer, you have a database server on another computer, then you would select on custom installation. That's just one example. This example can lead to any other component that you wanted to install in Dynamics AX. So I'm going to go ahead and click on custom installation because I want to choose what component I want to install, whether it's on this computer or any other computer. Only difference is if I click on single computer, it'll not give me option. It'll go ahead and check the all the prerequisites and start installing all the components. But I want to pick and choose. I don't want it to just go ahead and install everything. So I'm gonna click on custom install and click next. So here it gave me option what you wanted to do. So we're gonna, as we decided in the beginning, database server component which is AOS only, and we're gonna go ahead and click on management utilities and click on client. Click next. Again, it's gonna go ahead and go through the as it went through already from the prerequisites. If any prerequisite doesn't meet, then it's going to give you error and will not let you go through the installation. So we're going to go ahead and click next and click next. Now here what I was talking about, that if you wanted to do the you know, if create a new database, or if you have already the database that's exists and you just wanted to connect to that, you wanted to connect this AOS to that existing database, just so that you know why you want to do that. If you have a multiple AOSs running on different computers and you have one database server that you wanted to point all those AOSs to one database, and in that scenario you wanted to configure existing database. So right now we don't have database created. This is a single sort of single computer installation. However, we're picking and choosing that what component we wanted to install. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new database. Once the database is created, then I'm gonna go ahead and whenever it asks me to connect to database, I'm gonna click on configure existing database, just so that you know, because I already created the database and I want every component to point to that database. So let's go ahead and click next. This is by default name of Microsoft Dynamics AX database's name. You have an option you can change it. I'm going to change it. AXProd DB, production DB. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the same with the prefix of AX baseline. You can name it, as I said, however you want to. You have an option, register database for upgrade, if you're installing SQL Server, Dynamics AX R2, and you're planning to do it R3 after installation of R2, then you can go ahead and register the database for upgrade. That'll keep a tag that this database needs to be upgraded, but I'm not gonna go ahead and choose that, so just keep it this way. I'm gonna go ahead and click next. This is our SQL Server name. I have already installed SQL Server. It has picked up from that, but if you click on here and you wanted to connect to a different database, then it'll give you an option that what SQL Server you wanted to connect in order to configure or install AOS. So we're going to go ahead and click next. So the setup is running right now. It's gathering the information about the available models. Here you have a model. You have option to choose a foundation model, foundation upgrade model, or foundation labels. By default, it's just the foundation, and that's what I'm gonna go ahead and install. Later on, you can always add foundation labels and foundation upgrade. If you're upgrading, then you can go ahead and click on foundation upgrade. But right now, I'm just gonna take the default values, which is just the foundation, and it's in a sys layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and click next. Here is the very important option. Usually a lot of folks ask me, actually I felt it myself in my production environment, that all the services, WSDL port and service endpoints, they are running on 8101 and 8201, which are the default ports of Microsoft Dynamics AX. You have an option right now to change it, because it'll be really an ordeal to change the WSDL port or the service endpoint port later on, because it goes in registry, and it would be really hard for you to reconfigure the ports now, because you wouldn't know that what it might break. You have to go through some lab, dev, or test experiments in order to find out that if you change the port in registry, what would it break. So I would recommend, if you wanted to change the port, change it right now, and make sure that these ports are open in your firewall, and all those good sort of setting from system administration. So we're gonna go ahead and accept default for now. So click next. This is the AOS instance name, AX. Let me go back. AX PROD DB. This is the AX instance name. Actually, I do not want DB with that, so I'm going to change it to AX prod, AX production. So this is my AX instance name. This is different from SQL Server instance name. However, it picks it from whatever the instance name up there you give. It went ahead and took that, but I want to change it. You have an option to change it right now, so I went ahead and changed it to AX prod. So click next. Excuse me. Use the following account. Just to let you know that one of the prerequisite of installing Microsoft Dynamics AX is use domain account. If you do not have domain account, if you're trying to install SQL Server in just your laptop, which is not connected with any domain, it will not let you choose that. Good idea. Best practice is that you should always have service accounts for AOS services, for Microsoft SQL services. All the good services that you wanted to that it asks you during the configuration, you should have a separate domain account, and all those domain accounts should be service accounts. So make sure that this service account that you're installing has sysadmin permission on database, because in Microsoft Dynamics AX 2012 and database, there's a very close relationship, and almost 95% of the stuff is managed via AOS application. It's just hardly that you would touch from the SQL Server side. You make any changes, even if you make any changes from SQL Server side, they will not remain in effect until once the AOS is restarted. All those changes will be gone. So I'm just trying to let you know that there is a close relationship. So make sure that this account that you're going to use have sysadmin permissions on a SQL Server side. So I'm going to go ahead and give that username, provide the password. Here is a user managed service account in Active Directory. If you have, and that's one of the feature of Active Directory, that if you wanted to create managed service account, that way you you don't have to change the password or anything. You don't need to know the password. All you need to know is account name, and that account name needs to be needs to have all the permission that you need from AOS side, computer, operating system side, as well as the database side. So I don't have any managed service account, so this is my service account right here. It has the right permissions to do the job, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. Click next. Click OK. So installation type up here is if you wanted to do some development, you can go ahead and install the developer side, business user, or administrator. I'm gonna go ahead and select the administrator for this installation. You can always go back and change really, or go ahead and install the different module just to and connect to same existing database, and accomplish that task. So I'm going to go ahead and click on administration. What it does is that if you click on business user, it'll open a different view when you open the Microsoft AX Dynamics client, and if you do the development, it'll open different view, and if you do administration, it'll always open an admin view for you. So I'm going to go ahead and do administrator, and I do want to create a desktop shortcut for Microsoft Dynamics AX client application. Keep in mind that the client, AX client, doesn't need to be on the same computer. You can always install the Microsoft Dynamics AX client on any other computer, as long as it meets the prerequisites, and it have you have permission to connect to the AOS instance. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Click next. And we're going to go ahead and click on install. Alright, it's going to take a little while. If any error or any issues that I face during this installation, I'll share with you. If everything went successful, then I'll be right back. Alright, as you can see that all the components that we selected, which were databases, AOS application and management utilities, Office add-ins, client, and remote desktop services, they are all installed successfully. So we're going to go ahead and click on finish. You can go ahead and look at the log file, that how they're installed, if there's some warnings and anything like that happened during the installation. But I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this bar, open the summary report when setup closes, just because I think that everything installed successfully. But if you're doing production installation, I would recommend you to just view through the report. So I'm going to go ahead, uncheck this, and click finish. Alright, our next target is to fire up the client and see if everything is installed correctly. Before that you can use Microsoft Dynamics AX, you need to execute a checklist. Once the checklist is executed, then you can go ahead and use the application. But that would be our next video, to execute the checklist. But we're going to go ahead and fire up the client. You right click on that, on the client, and run as administrator. It should bring us to our checklist execution. Click yes. Checklist. Our next video is going to go through the execution of this checklist.